Why are Denver's homes suddenly disappearing? Inventory has dropped by thousands in just a few weeks, but demand didn't disappear. It's building under the surface. And today, I'll break down where these listings actually went, why this happens every single year in Denver, and how early spring becomes a window most buyers and sellers completely miss. I'm Landon, a local Denver realtor, and I track these shifts every single week so that you know exactly how to move in this market before everyone else catches on. And before we get into the numbers, let me show you what's happening right now on the ground. Okay, so we have this time that's called the holiday pullback period. And this is basically from mid-November all the way through January 1st. And this is where we see a dramatic decrease in active listings. And what happens is a lot of homeowners don't want to show their house during the holidays. And they think Thanksgiving, Christmas, it's a time to just be together, be with family, enjoy the holidays. I don't want people coming through my house, which is totally understandable. And so what happens is we see a big number of listings declining. Just last week, we lost 700 homes in the market, 500 homes the week before. So 1,200 homes in 2 weeks, right, that we lost on the market. And in the last 4 weeks, we truly have lost thousands of listings. And so this is what happens. We've gone from 12,900 listings on the market all the way down to about 9,400 this week. And we track that every week on our team meetings. And I just looked at it again, which is still holding true. So that number will continue to decline. We'll see that pattern happen all the way through that first week of January, most likely. And the market gets a little bit skinny, as far as listings available. And so if you're a buyer that wants options, it may be better this week compared to last week, especially if you're trying to land something, before the end of the year. Also, the other thing that you have going on is listings that happened in, April, May that maybe got passed over by the hot market in the spring. Those listings now are expired. Usually the typical listing agreement is 6 months. And so if a listing's expired after 6 months, it goes away. Sometimes sellers give up. Sometimes they hire a new agent and come back on. Sometimes they wait 31 days is the rule in the MLS system here in Denver. And so if you didn't see my zombie listings video, make sure to watch that. But it's one thing that sellers do often, right? To try to regenerate some more interest and get a fresh start with the new listing. And you just think of the mindset, right? When you're a buyer in this market and you're looking at a home that's 60, 90, 120 days on market, oftentimes you're wondering to yourself, like, why is that home not sold? And then you immediately get super judgy, right? And you say, oh, it's got to be overpriced, or it's got to have foundational problems, or it's probably a train wreck, it's probably a money pit, where sometimes that can be true. Other times, they just had bad strategy. They did start a little bit high on price. The marketing wasn't great. Maybe they focused on the wrong things. They didn't prep their home correctly to sell. These are a lot of things that happen all the time that I see. And I love to be the second agent that comes in, to help someone correct some of the mistakes that were made in their first go around. Also, there's another group this time of year of sellers and potential sellers that is getting their home ready. So this is like the holiday home prepping crew. These are the sellers that are keeping contractors very busy this time of year. And, usually when I try to get contractors to help me out, they've got a laundry list of clients who want them to get their home ready before Christmas time so that they can enjoy, their fresh updated home for Christmas, have their family over to see it and all of that. And then they're prepping to get their home ready in November, December, and January so that it's ready to go in February. Okay, you may have heard this before, but the market really wakes up after the Super Bowl. But another thing that you should know is that when the market really calms down during the holidays, off-market activity really picks up. And so it's like the forbidden fruit, right? When you take your home off the market, planning to bring it back, we get a call from somebody that's like, hey, we saw your home 4 weeks ago. My clients keep thinking about this one. We saw that it's no longer available. Can we still write an offer on that place, or can we come see it again? And the answer is, if you've got a listing agreement that says that the sellers will give access to a person off market to come see the home, then that's totally okay. Then I'm acting in my seller's best interest, right? And it's an important thing for, buyers that are trying to be early bird spring buyers to be aware of, that there may be great opportunities off market to find the perfect match. Also, new construction builders, because they see inventory going like this, right, downhill, they like to release a lot of homes during this time of year and get buyers interested, right, and engage buyers. Because one of the things is new construction builders know that they can release properties, right, that may not close in December. They may be closing in April, May, June, right, based on the time of construction, but they can release those lots and release opportunities so that buyers, that are looking or are running out of options and seeing options go away now turn to new construction. The biggest reason for disappearing inventory is simple: seller psychology. From Thanksgiving through the new year, homeowners want to live in their homes, not show them. And so they pull listings off the market to avoid disruption. options. You also have listings that went stale in the fall, and so sellers pull those listings to reset days on the market and come back fresh in the spring. This creates the illusion that the market is dead, but what's really happening is a strategic pause. Sellers are using that time to paint, stage, prepare for what they know is a stronger selling window just around the corner, doing things just a little bit better this second time around. So the supply of homes does take a nosedive for the holidays, but what most sellers get wrong is thinking that buyers disappear too. They don't. So there are a few buyers who just shop year round, regardless of the season. One of them is relocators, people that are relocating based on jobs. They are absolutely looking all year long, including November, December, January. And so that's something to be aware of. There are still buyers out there. You will still show your home if it's on the market, if you have a good strategy. And so we just helped two of those. Today and yesterday, we closed on homes with a couple buyers that were relocating, and one of them relocated from California, from the Silicon Valley area, and found a great home here in the Denver metro area. And we were able to locate another home for a couple relocating from Iowa that came in and found a fantastic home here in our market. And so there's absolutely people that are starting their search right now. We've got a few that we're starting currently and getting going and looking at homes right now. So those are absolutely not going away. Okay. And if you think that they're just, it's completely stale, you're fooling yourself. Yes, there may be a little more slant towards like buyers, like local buyers who are looking for a deal this time of year. That may be true, but you've got relocators that are happening all year round, and they have a fixed start date and need to find a home based on a job move, regardless of the time of year. Also, there's plenty of investor activity. So real estate investors are often the first to re-enter the market, and they know that this time of year is a good time to be looking. And so yes, absolutely, investors are looking for, they've got to meet their numbers, right? It's got to make sense from a cash flow standpoint. And so they may be a little more value driven, but they aren't driven by school schedules or holidays. They're simply driven by the numbers and the opportunity as it presents itself. So they see the winter dip as a chance to find some deals. Also, another thing that you'll see is all of these holiday refresh sellers that came off the market for 31 days, you will see a post New Year's surge. And usually January 2 is usually a pretty big day on the market. And then usually right around mid-January or that second week of January is a big day as far as, listings coming onto the market, because all of those sellers were thinking, let's just get past the holidays. Let's not waste days on market. Let's come in as a brand new fresh listing in January and see what the market brings. Very good strategy. It often works. And so, that rise of inventory immediately on January 1st, it makes it so that people with New Year's resolutions, people that are looking to get a fresh start, go out and buy a home, that haven't spent all of their money during the holidays, which I know is easy to do these days, those people are out there hitting the ground, right in January, because they want to beat the spring rush. And so you absolutely have buyers during that time of year. I always try to make calls to people that I've worked with in the past and just see, hey, how are your New Year's resolutions? Do any of them revolve around real estate? Can I be helpful in any way? Because it is an important time of year where people are thinking goal-oriented. They're thinking about improving their financial situation. And a lot of times a real estate move can do that and can be a very good thing. In Denver, mortgage applications consistently spike the week after the Super Bowl as well. So like I mentioned before, it acts as an unofficial kickoff to the spring buying season. And everyone thinks like buying season starts in May and then it's May, June, July. Okay, for the last 10 years, it has not been that way. We have really moved up, and COVID only enforced that even more because of all the rent backs that people were doing, where if you were starting the buying process in May, trying to be in by the start of the school year, then you buy a home in May and close in June, and then the seller wants a 60-day rent back because they need to go find a house. In those situations, you're not getting into the property until after school starts. So that's why a lot of those people started sooner, and so COVID really drove our spring market earlier. And that's why you see so many people starting, right after the Super Bowl and even January, right? Like I mentioned before. So what we see is you have a lot of sellers that are still on the sidelines, that are waiting for April, May, June, July, those timeframes. And you get buyers that are out there ready to go in February. And so my recommendation is always, you don't want to miss those people that are starting their search in February and getting excited about looking at homes. There's a stat that I share with a lot of people that's true every year in our market. I always look over these these numbers, but the appreciation that we gain in our market in a year, 75% of that annual appreciation is due to the listings that are on the market in February, March, and April. And so there are only a couple anomalies to that. And COVID was one of them, because first half of the year in 2020 was lackluster, and then it went crazy, gangbusters, right, in the second half of the year. And it's created because we have a short-term supply and demand imbalance that's happening during that time of year, because we have so many buyers who are ready to go out the gates, and sellers are a little bit late to the game generally, and they don't list their home until May, June, and we have huge listing numbers then. And then what's happened to the buying demand at that point? It's kind of petering away, right? And we get to July, August, that buying demand's almost gone. People are so distracted with the weather, their last vacations of the year. They're, distracted by all kinds of things, and they're just not thinking about real estate. But in February, they're thinking about real estate. They're very focused on it. This imbalance leads directly to the biggest missed opportunity that I see for sellers every single year. It's what makes February a secret weapon. And if you want to stay ahead of these patterns instead of reacting to them, make sure you're subscribed. I break down these shifts every week. And if you're planning on a move this winter or early spring, reach out, and I'm happy to walk you through the right strategy for your timeline. All right, so let's talk about why February listings crush. Listings in February mean that you are on the market before the huge surge of sellers hits the market, right? And you're gonna see more and more listings come on every month. March, April, June, July, more and more are gonna be up. I think I skipped May, but May's in there too, right? Gradually, that will increase until we get to the 4th of July. So, do you want to compete with all of those sellers, or do you want to be the first to the game when buying demand is hitting its peak? That's how you can really play this right and get the most money for your home. Your home will also stand out, right, if it's a great listing during that time of year. Also, very smart sellers, huge tip, okay? A lot of people will take pictures of their home in full bloom in June or July the year before if they're really planning ahead to sell their home, okay? That's one of the smartest things you can do. We actually just shot listing photos, and we did outdoors only back in September on a house that we're gonna list and sell in January. And so they knew they were gonna be a winter listing. They've got a home lined up, but they wanted their pictures to look awesome on the outside of their home so that their grass is in full bloom, landscaping looks great, there's no snow on the roof or anything like that. And so that home is going to stand out because every other listing during that time frame is going to look like a winter listing, and ours looks like a nice, late summer, fall listing. And so that, if you can think ahead at all as far as pictures go, that can be a huge advantage to you, because it's all about creating a competitive advantage and standing out and creating a reason for buyers to buy your house instead of the other 9,000 homes that are on the market. Okay, this one may have two sides, right? We may have some buyers are hungover and broke after the holidays, but you also have some that set New Year's resolutions. They're fresh, they're optimistic. After the holidays, they just enjoyed some family time, and now they are, heading into a very, strong time of year for them, where they're off to the races, hitting their goals, and, creating a bigger vision for themselves. Some of the most, generous, clean offers sometimes happen at the first part of the year because of this, just because of the mindset that people have during that time of year. So historically, homes listed in the first few weeks of February in Denver sell faster than those listed in the late spring. So just keep that in mind. There are more serious buyers too. And the people out looking at homes when it's cold and snowy are not tire kickers. They're serious, and they're often pre-approved and ready to make a decision. Okay, it could be that they already sold their house and they have a closing date looming and coming up, so they have to find a place. Okay, usually people that are moving that time of year, they're either deal seeking or they have to move because of something that has happened in the past, a job or a house that's sold. Also, the first 3 weeks of February are consistently one of Denver's highest conversion periods. Homes listed during that window often sell faster and also closer to their list price because they command more attention in the sparse market. They also have a lesser number of those homes that fall out of contract based on inspection or whatever other reason. This seasonal dynamic creates a very specific set of challenges and opportunities. Let's break down what it means for you if you're a buyer. With tighter inventory, these A-grade homes that are well-priced, in good condition, great location, will sell almost instantly. So you need to be prepared to make a decision on the day that you see the home. Okay, oftentimes on those homes, you can't sleep on a decision in February. In those situations too, you can expect competition that time of year with a home that is great looking on the inside, that has a great location, priced well. Even if it's winter, a great home will attract multiple offers. And the supply is low for those types of homes, but the demand from serious buyers is absolutely there. So if you're looking for a deal, I recommend looking at the holdovers, right? Like the homes that were on the market all through the fall and winter, that are exhausted, that are ready to sell their house, right? And they may have dropped, in some cases, over $100,000 in price to get to the point that they're at right now. And in their mind, they're just thinking like, make it stop, make this end. And so you may have some opportunities there if you're looking in the right direction to find a motivated seller still during that time. You just have to look at homes that are a little longer and more mature on the market. And we can do that for you. So if you want a list of homes that is, homes that are 100 days or more on the market, we can create that for you and send you a list that are just those listings that have been holdovers from the fall. And that way you can just, look at some of those options and see if there's anything really appealing. If there is something that looks good on that list, then, let's contact the agent. Let's reach out. And if it's expired, we could even reach out directly to the homeowners and find out for you if those people are interested in selling. We are not afraid to work hard for you, and find homes that are off market. Also, you have to watch micro markets, right? Real estate is hyper local. And so certain suburbs tighten up faster than others as far as inventory goes. So a lot of areas like in the suburbs, such as Highlands Ranch, Parker, Littleton, that often see inventory get snapped up very quickly in the early springtime. And again, that's due to families that want to get this process started. They know there may be a rent back, so they want to get the whole thing done so that they can be closed and done and dusted by May. That way they can enjoy their whole summer and they can be totally ready to go when the school year starts again in August. Also, if you're from another place, our school year starts like the second week of August. It's actually pretty early compared to like California and several other markets that start, I think, in September after Labor Day. And, they go all the way through parts of June. Because of our weather patterns, our kids get out of school usually that third or fourth week of May, and then they go back in like the second week of August. Also, another thing that you need to be aware of is have your pre-approval ready. So if you're thinking right now that you'd love to buy a home in February, start now with the pre-approval. But how long do those last? Am I gonna have to redo everything if 90 days expires or 60 days expires? Yes, you might have to send another bank statement in, but it's not like this massive effort again. Okay, that's a big pushback that I get from a lot of buyers. Is I don't want to do it too soon because then I'm gonna have to do it all over again. But if it's the same tax returns that you've already given, right? You can just forward a new doc over, forward a new bank statement, and then you're good to go for another 60 days. So it's not a big deal. But getting that done sooner rather than later will uncover any spiders in the closet. It will let you know of any obstacles that you may not even be aware of on your credit report, or financial obstacles like income that is not seasoned, meaning it can't be used in the loan, even though you think you're making this money, and you are, but sometimes you haven't had that income for long enough, or sometimes you changed industries recently and the lender doesn't like that. They want to see more consistency over time. And so for those reasons, talk to a lender early and get that squared away. It's free. It's completely free to talk to a lender and have a 15-minute conversation with a lender. And I've got some great ones that you can speak with as well. I'd be happy to give you multiple referrals for those if you want to shop the market and see who the best fit is for you. But that can be a huge advantage to have that out of the way so that you can focus on the fun part, which is finding your home. I try to help people avoid the roller coaster ride, right, of finding a perfect home, because it is emotional. When I've moved my own family, I've realized how emotional this process is, right, on the buy side and the sell side. And I can help other people do this all day long, but when it's my house, then there's all kinds of emotions involved, right? It's crazy how that happens, but real estate becomes emotional because it's a place you live, it's your home, it's a big deal, right? And there's others that you care for that are involved in the process if you're not just doing it alone. And so for all of those reasons, it's very important to have, everything prepared and done as far as the pre-approval goes, because the worst thing in the world is you find a perfect house and then all of a sudden you find out you can't qualify for it. Now, if you're a homeowner, this is the information that can make a huge difference in your sale. Here's what this inventory squeeze means for sellers. So for sellers, listing in February gives you a massive head start. You capture the attention of serious buyers before your neighbors put their home up for sale. So prepping your home in January is a big deal. Make sure to use the quiet months of December and January for your home preparations. And that's the time to get the fresh paint, the deep cleaning, minor repairs, and light staging all done so that you're ready to go. Also, get your listing photos done on a nice sunny day, right? So that you're ready to launch as soon as that day comes. The other piece of advice I have is price your home correctly. You probably don't need to underprice your home in February, which is nice. You can just nail it on pricing, and a fair market price will make your home look like a premium option when there are other choices that buyers are seeing that are high. Also, remember that presentation matters. In a tight market, buyers scrutinize the few available homes more closely. And your home's emotional appeal, cleanliness, and professional photography are critical to standing out. There also is such thing as a spring flood, right? Or a big spring wave. That's all the inventory that's coming in April, May, June, that's going to hit the market. And those are record-setting months every year in inventory, or meaning all your neighbors are listing their homes during that time. So that's when you become just another option instead of the best option. So if you're a seller, the takeaway is simple. Don't wait for the spring rush, because that's when your competition arrives. Use January to get your house completely ready, and then when you list in February, you become the big fish in a small pond. Buyers who are starved for good inventory will focus all their attention on your property. And this is how you sell faster and often for a stronger price. Waiting until April or May means that you may just be one of many, and you lose that powerful early mover advantage. The seasonal inventory cycle is one of the most predictable yet misunderstood parts of the Denver market. If you're thinking of selling and want to build a strategy to take advantage of this February window, or if you're a buyer who needs help finding a great home before the competition gets fierce, reach out. Give me a call or send me a text to this number on the screen, and let's talk about how we can make this market work for you. Now that you understand the seasonal shifts, the next thing that you need to know is how Denver itself is about to change. So click on this next video where I break down the massive developments shaping the city's future and what that may mean for buyers, sellers, and investors. I'll see you there.